why photogrammetry? Effectively, we want to create a kick-ass looking polished 3D model. Photorealistic, perfect for a double-page brochure, glossy magazine, selling Ferraris, selling Prada bags, selling LV bags. Yep, it's a highbrow, high marketable product that needs the nth degree of realistic texturing in a 3D model. What is photogrammetry? So this is a bit of theory, so don't worry, this is all kind of like what the heck this is about. Essentially, you're taking a series of photos around an item, and all the photos are stitched together to create a 3D model. Yeah, it's another way of creating a 3D model. So hands up who's ever used panorama on their mobile phones. Exactly the same process, but it's inverted. Yeah, so rather than you being in the middle and then taking a shot all the way around you, you actually circumnavigate an item, take a photo of whatever's in the middle, and then stitch all those photos together. Yeah. So it's looking for common features in each of these photos. So say, imagine this 3D object was a person. Yeah, just for argument's sake. So from image 1, you see their left hand. Image 2, that looks like their left hand as well. Image 3, you might just about see their thumb, because obviously you come across there. But the idea is, it all gets indexed, it all gets registered, depending on where it can spot the features. Yep, and you end up with a visualization that looks kind of like that, around the object. Yeah, because it's picking up all these features and it almost locating itself relative to the object. And these are just 2D photos. Yeah. So that's the basic premise of that. Right, so on a camera, you have obviously the zoom on the barrel. You turn it, it changes the zoom in and out, yeah? Generally speaking, if you zoom in, you increase what's called the f-stop, which makes it quite narrow. Yeah. Imagine your loo roll. You're looking down it, right? The longer your loo roll, the less light goes into your eyes because it's got such a narrow aperture at the end. But your focal range is longer. So when you take a photo, you get what's called the bokeh effect, right? When you do a selfie, and your face is nice and clear, and everything else is in the background in an artistic way. Perfect for selfie, but terrible for photogrammetry, because you need everything ideally to be sharp. You don't want just this bit to be sharp. Yeah, you want everything to be crystal clear. So it's about finding the right settings in your camera to make sure you get A, enough light, and B, the whole thing is exposed correctly for sharpness and for color. As we discussed this morning, it's a bit like spray painting.
Yes.
Yeah, the way that you use it.
Yes.
And if you can imagine, the ideal distance is about arm's length from the item. So as you're going around, almost imagine my arm sticking out from the front, touching it. Right. Touching it, touching it, touching it, touching it. If I get you to hold this, so the best thing to do is actually with your dominant arm, hold it like so. With your non-dominant arm, just cradle it. So if you press the trigger once, so the first press of the trigger starts the project, but you're not actually recording or you're not scanning right now. You're just given a chance to line up your shot. So if you look at the screen, yes. And if you point it so it's centered, yeah, it's like a viewfinder and a camcorder, yep, essentially. So if you press the trigger one more time, now you're actually starting to record. So if you just walk around the object and try to keep whatever is in front of you green. So we see what's scanned so far. So going back to what we just talked about, that's the have I missed a bit mode. Yeah, so it's like spray painting. It's like saying, where did my spray paint go? Yeah, anything that's red, the paint didn't get there. So the neat thing about this scanner, as long as what you scanned previously hasn't changed position, I can continue where I left off. Yep, so I've given a chance to review what I've got so far. Yeah, to say, that's pretty good. Oh, I'm missing a bit here. Do you see it's a bit red on the right-hand side? Yeah, so I can purposely key into that area. It's almost like I tried to spray this white and there's a patch of red still here, like I missed it. Yeah, same logic. Yeah. Photogrammetry, when you take the photographs, they've got to match exactly the same position as you scan. So at least for the purposes of photogrammetry, I can't move that. Yeah. It's got to remain in the same position. So it's going to do 3 shots from this orientation, again, roughly arm's length. So I can use a viewfinder. I want a good spread. Yeah. So I usually strafe right or left and then walk away around. And that's how I know I've covered everything. So the critical thing to worry about too is that whatever setting you use, it's got to be consistent. So if I set the shutter speed to 1/60, I need to make sure every shot I do is 1/60. Same for the f-stop, and same for the ISO value. It's got to be all the same all the way around for consistency. Because if I set everything to auto, there's things in the background that can mess with the settings. So if I meter the lighting based on the background, for instance, if I take a shot from down here, the light's right there. It's going to set everything down. The f-stop, my shutter speed will be shorter, and so forth. It will still process correctly, but your chances of success get reduced. Yeah, it needs to be consistent. So this is no different to what we did this morning. Scanned it, tidied it up, doing the post-processing. This is going to then be an STL mesh, essentially, when this is finished processing. But the industrial step I'm going to do is importing these photos in, do what's called photo registration, and apply the colors from the camera as opposed to the colors from the scanner. Yeah. So the question is, was it all worth it? So if I show the color information from just the Leo, pretty flat. Yeah, because it's flashing everywhere. Any shadows that are inherent from the environment is lost. Yeah. If I show from photography, a lot more dynamic because I had overhead lights for the office. Yeah, so the lights are coming from the front, the back, and any drop shadows that are natural to the environment are faithfully represented. Yeah. But more to the point, it should be far more detailed. Yeah, so if I look at the text there and compare it to the text there, it's not as well represented, and the colors are not as saturated as well. It's a bit dim. Yeah. And it's far more dynamic. More to the point, photorealistic. Yeah, which is the whole point of the exercise.